So outside of blatant curiosity, someone posted about a celebrity being a transvestite, and I almost clicked on the video after having listened to her video promoting drag queens and her willingness to mess anyone up that interferes with their ability to express themselves and be authentically articulate of what they wish to express while pretending to be something other than they are. But the point is no disrespect towards drag queens, transvestites, trannies, whatever you want to call them. I just propose that what if we actually got back to what was underneath of the gender identity in the first place? What if we got back to the fact that what they're celebrating is not actually just the ability to be something other than we are? What they're really celebrating is our ability to be ourselves in whatever expression that shows up as. And our gender may be the way that we can express our individuality most easily, because it's become such a cultural fascination and fixation. But if we actually go beneath that, what does that identity do for you and the world? These are the questions that we need to start asking ourselves and fixating on, focusing on. And I'm listening to The Strangest Secret. Earl Nightingale. If you haven't watched it, listen to it. I've been aware of it for over 11 years, and I'm grateful. I remember listening to it for the very first time at the Malvern Spa while I was waiting for my ex, because he had a gym membership there, so I had the benefit of being able to just go to this Malvern Spa where there was literally this rock stone with an amethyst inside of the sauna. It was just like the environment was so wealthy. It was so abundant. It was so beautiful. I got that when I was 23, and I'm so grateful, which is why I have given everything that I have for free. It's not really benefiting me to a degree, because I really actually need to get some money coming back to me, but it's not income, because I'm not inviting the invitation. It's not an invitation for the corporations to come into me. Invite, income. Do you see? It's not an invitation for a visitation. I don't wish to see the ghost of the gnosist that needs a host. I don't wish to be the host for the gnosis, which is the allotted spiritual journey that has been specified and said, this is the way. Well, I'm sorry, there are many ways. There are many ways to scale a mountain. And the mountain of awareness is akin to a spiral staircase where you can circulate around it and you see things from a different angle all through it, but you're ultimately in the same place. It's the same address, but a completely different experience top to bottom, based on where you are within the emotional high-rise of awareness. I wrote about it in my book, Fully Committed, of which I have a few copies. I could show you the boxes that are waiting as well. And now I have. So I am now actually offering them for $20 instead of $25. So if you would like to get a copy signed by me, directly from me, then all you got to do is send me an email to say what your address is, and then I will send an invoice to you. It will vary. It's just about $6 in Canada. It's, I think, $12 in America, and then it's like $24 in the UK. But I'll keep track and then just get better at that, and I would appreciate having some orders. So if you want a copy of Fully Committed, the Sacred Sojourn of the Soul that will go through the Sacred Sojourn of the Soul, it's the Sacred Sojourn of now, but based off of the Sacred Sojourn of the Soul, and the Emotional High Rise of Awareness, which I'm so excited to be able to share with you. So we're going to go deeper into this in the manual that goes with the workshop series that I have been putting together. And the first one is actually May 27th in Blackstock at Soul's Path. So if you're able to come, I would love for you to. It's $111, and there are overnight options if you wish to also come participate in the round table meeting that I'm co-hosting, that will really be an opportunity for us to build conscious community where we actually make the focus and fixation solutions that are soul-based, which is so exciting. Album 23 is part of it. It's not all of it. It's just a piece, but it's a big piece because it's how artists have an opportunity to actually get involved in a community of people that are growing themselves, that are also making music, that are writing songs or books or whatever it is that we are creating. Artistry is artistry. It doesn't matter what degree we have to practice it. That's just the box we put the all into and say the all is not all things now because that is in its own box. Well, ownership is connected to the use of fruct, and right now we're being fruct right, left, and center. So I say, let's make it the cross, the descansos of this moment that marks where we stopped playing the victim unconsciously and actually either stepped into playing it consciously, which is what you'll do once you know better and don't choose to do better, or we'll rewrite the pattern and get to stay in the sacred side of that same archetype, because the victim is also the part of us that wants to be empowered more than any part of us. So realize the sacred and scared sides of us are just sides on a coin. There's both there even when you can't see the other. It's there. And Teal Swan this morning actually had shared in one of her shorts that simply by imagining something, you actually also by default bring about its opposite, just to make sure it's got a pole to balance on. Wow. So, the North Pole, South Pole, this shift is actually what I believe we need to make in our own body, through the mind into the heart, which is where we then merge body, mind, spirit, and soul. But the spirit flows through the one with the soul who is incarnated as the individuated expression of the grand overall designer, the creator of all, the exclusion of none, which means that it is only when we get here that someone says, this was your story of origins. Well, the archetypal pattern of the story of origins, where we're at home in the comfort zone of the known and we hear the call for an adventure, the call for more, the call to become that which we came to be. And we veil the unrest at first because we're scared. And then we meet the one that believes in us enough for us to believe in ourselves and accept the adventure. And then we go through the trials and tribulations that take us through the deepest and darkest caves and crevices of our own consciousness in order to get to the dark night with the K of the ego, where we edge God out because the night needs to know who to drop a knee to, yo. Until we get to the dark light fight of the soul, when the ego no longer has a role because the soul is whole, until broken into hues, which are only but aspects of the man, right? Woman being the womb man. Really? Ah. So, I made a mess. I spilled some water. And it is what it is. It's making a mess. And I'm totally in my own little world to be not focused on this in this moment. But it needing to be done, so just imagine the fun of wiping it all away when it's done. Which is what we must do collectively. My grandpa built these cupboards. Aren't they beautiful? Wow. So, we get a little cleaning lesson. But it's actually very symbolic. For the fact is that I spilled water and now I'm wiping it up right before I wipe the floor. That will make sure my grandpa doesn't slip when he comes out. Because that matters. And this had needed to get done, and I wouldn't have had as much fun doing it on my own had it not been for the prompt. I've not necessarily done the Cinderella role so much while I'm on live specifically, but hey, here we go. Always time for a first, right? I don't know what I was saying before the water spilled. But what I do know is that this life is incredible. And we have an opportunity to create something magical. And we got some cleaning up to do. And some of us literally are dealing with broken angels. So, let's get her glued back together. She's been cracked a few times, but in this instance, it wasn't strongest where she'd cracked before and got sewn back together because she broke again. But now we just get more glue and we stitch her back together and maybe poke something in through there so that then the parts are connected and supported from the inside too. I think that's a good idea. Filling it with some wood. A stick will do, I do believe. Woohoo! How exciting. Thank you for being with me this morning, for cleaning up the mess, for seeing what the angel will look like when she's put back together again, for everything else that we went through in these 13 minutes together. Thank you. Namaste. Namaste. Namago for today.